Yahweh has invited us into His presence. The question is, can we handle it? The other question is, do we understand the protocol of His presence? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, continuing with Day 5 at Tetzaveh. And this is the conclusion of this particular Torah portion. So Shabbat Shalom. And I pray that you have an encounter with the Most High and with your Mashiach this evening. Now, in chapter number 29 at Tetzaveh, the book of Exodus or Shemot, we read about the daily tamid. This is the offering that is continual. That's what the word tamid means. This is the offering that will be reinstituted, Daniel says, in the upcoming temple, and then the anti-Mashiach will cause it to cease. So evidently at some point they're going to be presenting animals, lambs, on a daily basis at 9 a.m., 3 p.m., and preparing them for slaughter. You can imagine the world's outcry at the slaughter of innocent animals on top of the mountain, on top of the Temple Mount there for worship. The way this is described is that they are to prepare, in verse number 39, prepare one lamb in the morning and the other lamb you prepare between the evenings. And with these lambs is a grain offering and a drink offering, as in the morning and in the evening, for a sweet fragrance, an offering made by fire to Yahweh. Early the next morning, about daybreak, the entire process of selecting the priests who will participate in the day's events is undertaken. Lambs are selected. They're brought from one location to the other. They are prepared for sacrifice. They are examined and made sure one more time that they are suitable for offering. On and on the process goes until finally the animal is slain, its blood is collected, and the animal is prepared and laid upon the altar. It burns until about mid-afternoon, about 3 o'clock, and then the second process has begun and the second lamb is laid upon the altar. What's interesting is from the Temple Mount area and the courts, as these animals are laid upon the altar, across the Kidron Valley and up on the other side on the Mount of Olives, Yeshua, on the day that he was offered, going to the tree about 9 in the morning and dying at 3 in the afternoon. He was the daily tamid offering that day. As he looked down upon those animals, they were pointing back at him. Now, the reason I bring all of this up is because at the conclusion of these instructions, in chapter 30, we began to read about the Mizbeach Ketoret. What is that? That is the altar of incense. Now, ideally, scholars have suggested that this segment should have been placed a lot earlier. This should have been included with the writings about the table of showbread and the menorah, because this altar of incense, covered in gold, stood in the same proximity as the menorah and the showbread. It stood just beyond them prior to reaching the veil that hid or covered the Ark of the Covenant. Coals were sourced from the altar in the courtyard, the altar of sacrifice. They were brought in and laid upon the small altar, and then finely ground, specifically processed incense was laid upon it, and smoke filled the set-apart place. Now let's catch what's going on here. In the morning, the daily tamid, the first lamb is being prepared and laid upon the altar. Sometime in the morning, the priest, the Kohanim, would enter in and lay fresh incense upon the altar of incense, the Mizbeach Ketoret. Smoke fills the room. The priest then tends to the menorah. He makes sure that the cups are filled with oil, that the wicks are trimmed and ready to be lit. Why does he put incense on first? Incense references for us the smoke that was on top of Mount Sinai. This is a smoke of covering. It covers all of his activity as he tends to the menorah that is in front of him. This is a very precious moment and a very specific need. Let's consider what happened at Mount Sinai. The people were allowed to come close to the foot of the mountain. The Kohanim were allowed to proceed just a little bit further. Moshe was allowed to go up onto the mountain and enter into the cloud and to the smoke from the fire on the top of the mountain. That is the closest proximity that man has gotten to the Creator. So it is played out again in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle. The people can come into the courtyard as they approach the foot of the mountain. The Kohanim can come into the set-apart place as they were allowed to go a little further toward the mountain. The high priest is allowed to go beyond the altar of incense with the smoke, and one time a year enter into the most set-apart place, the Kadosh Kadashim, and there he sprinkles blood upon the mercy seat of the Ark of the Covenant. This smoke that is coming up off of the altar of incense is an act of covering us. What does the smoke represent? Prayer. It's intercession. It's intriguing to me that of all of our five senses, that the most spiritual is not our sight or our hearing, a taste or a touch, but rather our sense of smell. It is the aroma that activates the mind. You can smell a certain scent and instantly you're taken back to a different period of time, another place, and you relive a moment where your nose smelled that same aroma somewhere else. It's an amazing trigger mechanism, good or bad. This smoke, this ketoret, it enlivens us. It fills us with all of our sinus and lungs. It fills our sensual awareness. Could it be that Yah smells our prayers as much as he hears our prayers? So let's continue. Based on the work of Yeshua who hung on the tree from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., we enter into the most set-apart place. And we come to the menorah, and there we ask for our fruit to be set on fire, and we ask for fresh oil and for fresh anointing. All the while, we're covered in smoke. We're being set apart. We're being covered in prayer. Prayer is this essential element that we are missing. You know, we can offer our sacrifices. We can give of ourselves. We can offer our entire being up to Him. We can set ourselves apart. We can wash ourselves. We can mikvah and declare that we have a change of status. We can ask for the infilling of the Spirit. We can read the Word. But when it comes down to our vital connection with the Most High, it's prayer. When you and I pray, it is like smoke rising up off of the altar of incense and coming up into the nostrils of the Most High, who smells it as a sweet aromatic flavor and scent to Him. Let our offerings of worship and prayer and intercession arise before Him. I hope these 10-minute Torahs are encouraging, helpful, and insightful to you. If they are, I invite you to go beneath the video and subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I invite you to go to my website, Remnant of Israel, Y-I-S-R-A-E-L, remnantofisrael.com. If this channel is encouraging and helpful to you and you choose to support us, just click the donate button there, and it is all very much appreciated. Until next week, shalom, and for tonight, Shabbat shalom.